Welcome everybody, and welcome PMI Toronto, and thank you for calling me back to talk again at this forum. And especially Stella, thank you for calling me for particularly this event, because business analysis, agile business analysis and user stories are one of my favorite subjects. And if you're asking why among so many different subjects that I'm covering now in agile world, this is because user stories are not agile way to express requirements. No, they're much more than that. User story, and I would go to that extent to say the way how you structure your user stories may very well determine whether you are doing really agile, and therefore you can expect the benefits that agile is promising, which is faster time to market, higher productivity, better quality, and better employee engagement and satisfaction, versus just pretending that you are doing agile. And let's put it bluntly, kind of putting the lipstick on a pig. And I know it's a bold statement, and we'll come back to that, and I hope and I promise in the next half an hour I'll explain exactly why I said that. But before we go further, why we are here today, why we are talking about agile, why we are talking about user story business analysis in agile world. Well, folks, we live in very interesting times. Like we are living now in exciting, accelerated business environment model. We are in the middle of digital revolution, okay? And as we all know, digital revolution profoundly changed the way how we live and how we work. As a, for instance, simple example, look at this phone. This gadget that can fit in the palm of my hand is several, let me just see what's going on. It helps if I turn on, right? This gadget is several million times more powerful than all computing power that NASA had in 1969 when they sent man on the moon. I really love this comparison, because who could imagine in that time that this stuff that is in one palm of hand is not just stronger than the whole mission control center, it's several million times stronger. Now, this is the power. I like this comparison because it shows the power of digital revolution. I'll put my phone back because it's a very powerful device. So now the question is, what kind of impact did digital revolution made on the industry as we know it today? So the best way to represent this is to show some numbers. So 50 years ago, which is approximately the time when we sent man on the moon, the average lifespan of Fortune 500 companies was 75 years. It was fairly long lifespan even in that time. And obviously we're talking about huge conglomerates, huge enterprises that are ruling the world. They're monopolies. But then came digital revolution. And what did happen? Look at this. Today, the lifespan is only 14 years. That's 5 times less. This is the power of digital revolution. And now the trend is even accelerating. So its prediction is that the next decade, 50% of those companies will not be in that exclusive club anymore. So folks, the message is quite clear. Gone are the times when big was eating small. Today, fast is eating slow. And we have to be fast. And that's why time to value is very important metrics and very important KPI in Agile. Okay. Now the question is, do we as an industry understand? How many times we heard, especially now, 2008, in that financial crisis, too big to fail? Well, we know Fortune 500 is our biggest company in the world, because Fortune 500 companies, those 500 companies represent 35% of all GDP, worldwide GDP. So all of those companies are too big to fail. But we see half of them will be gone in the next 50 years. Now, they do understand that. They realize that. This is the study published by Version 1. Version 1 is doing this for 8 years now, starting in 2010, and they compile this data annually, globally now. They ask everybody who is doing Agile across the world. And for 8 years in a row, number one reason why the companies are moving to Agile is because they want to accelerate product delivery. In other terms, time to market, time to value. Okay. So now where does the user story fits here? User story is the main character of my presentation tonight. And pretty much it's a cornerstone of Agile. But now everybody, or at least this part of the row, knows about user stories. And you heard from Kevin what the user story is. But this is not a presentation about user story as we know it. That's not the user story in Scrum, in Agile. And Kevin talked about Scrum. So this is kind of simplified how Scrum looks like. There is a team, cross-functional team, 7 plus minus 2 members. There is a Scrum Master and there is a product owner on that team. Product owner defines the user story, refine or groom that story with the team, Team committed it will do the story in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, the story is developed, fully tested, and delivers tangible benefit to the end user. Okay, so is it a fable? No. If you really apply those principles, you will get this. And the reason why Agile became so prolific and popular as in the last 18 years is mostly because of Scrum, because companies and organizations who are doing this properly are really getting those results. But now we are talking about very simple concept. Like how much teams of 7 to 9 people can do, really? It's a small applications, request response. We can really deliver value to the end user. Now, this presentation really is a little bit advanced concept. It's the user story in enterprise. In a large organization, we have a lot of teams, 10, 20, 50 or more teams. Okay, so this is how enterprise look like. It's not just one application. And don't be confused, this is not application, those are platforms. And these platforms are basically, they have hidden behind them, embedded in them 5, 10, 20, or even more applications. Okay, so we're talking about that. This is a real system, it's just anonymized, okay? So to protect innocence. Now, just to make it a little bit more juicy, and I want to put the cream on the pie, I'm not just going to talk how we're going to deliver the user story within this system. And bear in mind, you see the complexity here versus complexity on only one application with one team. The same constraint is here because we have to deliver one user story that traverses through that system and go back and deliver tangible business value to the end user, whether it's internal customer or external customer, within 2 weeks. Same stuff. We are competing against the same. We're competing on startups. And startups are small. They're by nature agile and nimble. We're talking about huge system. But you see now, all those small guys, those startups, they have unique new technology. They're coming on our turf. They want to eat our lunch. And we can't think anymore that we are too big to fail because we saw what's happening in the next 10 years. Are we one of them that are going to be dethroned? Well, we have to defend ourselves. And that's why we are doing this in a big enterprise. Now, to make it more juicy, I'll do this with geographically distributed teams. You know Agile is collocation, collocation, collocation. It's still paramount. Whenever you can collocate, you collocate. But now we're going to do this system in geographically distributed system. The teams will be spread around 5 continents, 8 countries, 14 cities, and 18 hours time zone difference. So bear in mind, strap your belt, and let's get to the on this road. Now, before I jump on that journey and explain you how we are going to deliver this, I need to tell you about anatomy of user story. This is the core of user story. And this is that teaser that I told you at the beginning of this presentation. How the structure can really determine whether you're really doing Agile or just doing in name. Okay. So the best way to represent product or service, whatever or solution that your company is making, is using the cake metaphor. Because cake really is the system. It has layers. And you can the top layer, this is this nice cream chocolate, it's your mobile layer or online layer. Now, you have all those middleware and you have a backend layers, okay? So this is the cake. The way how you want to represent, because listen, we're not talking about story, we're talking about user story. User story means user must have some benefit of that story. So user can only benefit from this cake, from this exquisite taste, if you cut the vertical slice. If you have a guest at your home, whatever is the party, whether it's a birthday party or a wedding, you're always going to cut that slice vertically. You're never going to serve horizontal slice to because you want to experience that. Now, when we said we want to structure our enterprise story, enterprise user story this way, and cut across all those vertical technology layers, we want to kind of give that taste to the organization. Now, in Agile, when we are forming a cross-functional team, we are forming a team that will be able to deliver one slice of the cake. Now, now remember this, when we are talking about cross-functional team, that doesn't mean the team has developers, testers, UX experts, maybe DBA. No, we are talking about all people that need to be there for every layer to deliver that. And bear in mind, there is a constraint. In order to have that nimbleness of the team and inter-team communication, it's got to be maximum 9 to 10 people, okay? That's the trick now. How do we deliver this in enterprise with 9 to 10 people? So when you're delivering system slice by slice, slice by slice, this is how you're going to deliver. And you don't have to deliver the full cake before you present to your customer. You can deliver a couple of slices and get the learnings and get the early benefits realization. This is how we are doing it. Now, the question is, why, when we all know that, and it's not secret anymore, why most of the companies, most enterprises that are really doing Agile, and they're serious about that, are still slicing on horizontal layers? Well, the reason because it's much easier. And it's not just much easier. The reason is because you don't have to do organizational change. There is some change in paradigm. You need to do paradigm shift even if you do Agile on a horizontal layer. But you don't have to touch your current organizational structure. And we all know that even the system architecture resembles organizational structure, not to mention this one. Now, when CEO of the company comes and announce on a town hall and announce to even investor community, we are moving to Agile. We got to be quicker in our product delivery. And we have to compete on the market. We have to be faster to the market with our new unique products, but even faster when we are defending against competitive threats. And he said, we are moving and delegate that transformation to all these CIOs. These CIOs will say, yes, sir, and they start transforming their layers. And they can scale. Each of these layers can have 50, even hundreds of teams. But what they're doing is they can really create high-performing Agile organization on horizontal layers. But what we are doing in terms, basically what we are doing is local optimization. It's called component optimization. How about system? Where is system thinking here? Nowhere. So usually after 1 or 2 years when company mature, the questions start coming, okay, we got a really productivity up. We get a better products, but our delivery to the market is still lagging. The reason is because they never thought about system thinking. They still need to integrate those layers, and that's late. And that's why this approach is way better. So if you remember anything from this presentation today, trust me, remember the cake. And especially because you are BAs and you have to cross vertically like that. And that paradigm, like a cake paradigm, really helped me when I was doing those transformations with this big organization. Because if you can present this picture to senior executives and they understand this, the bigger changes are possible to happen there. Proper change in proper organizational structure. Now that you understand this, okay, so now I said try never to slice horizontal. Okay. There are certain situations where horizontal slicing is okay, and I leave it to you to question and answer period. Okay. But let's move now to user story journey along delivery pipeline. So now Kevin talked about project and project delivery and all those methods. What I'm going to talk here is about, now I'm shifting slightly from Agile talk to Lean talk. So we start merging those two kind of concepts. So what I'm going to do, and this is a kind of topic of this discussion, how do we move from idea to the end product? And actually, I shouldn't put here end product, you should put a $sign. It's a cash. This is what benefits realization, what we are after. Who cares if we deliver this on time, on time, on budget, even before time, if the customer does not want that? Money are really important. If the customer is delighted and like this product, it will be shown here as money. So now, what I'm going to do here, and especially now listening that half of the team here does not know much about Agile and half is kind of half know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about these steps, how we're going to do this, and I'll be mile wide, which means end to end, and maybe inch deep. I'll try really to keep it on high levels, digestible, understandable by everybody. Okay. So the primary concept when we do Lean and merge Lean with Agile in this concept is to optimize the flow of value, which means value is value-added activity when we move from idea and adding value in implementing that story until that story really gets software behavior and drops down and becomes the feature of this product. Okay. So what we try to do here is get as fast as possible from left to the right in single flow. There is no return back. Any return back means rework, and any rework is waste in Lean language. Something goes wrong. You either defect or not right requirements and so on. So single flow. The second step in Lean, we need to really enhance the flow of feedback information from right to the left. And not only from right here to the left there, but on every step of that road that you will see now. Okay. So those are two paradigms. And now, if anybody asks you, can you tell me what the Agile is in one sentence? So pretty much I just tell you in 2 sentences. Let's combine in one. This is maximizing value delivery, optimizing value delivery with a sustainable time, within sustainable time. So it has to be, and it's a minimize the lead time, which means end-to-end, with a sustainable effort. So let me explain that. So lead time actually is a lean language. Lead time means from end to end. Okay, you will see a lot of steps here. This is cycle time. If you really start optimizing, do continuous improvement or relentless improvement, any cycle, you can improve the cycle time, but still your lead time will lag. And this is something that Kevin also spoke about. Scrum typically is 2 weeks delivery. And then we do 2 weeks delivery and we have a user story which is fully tested, fully functional, accepted by the product owner, right? But now it takes 3 to 4 months to deliver that stuff. If you divide 2 weeks by 4 months, this is your pipeline efficiency. Your cycle time was 2 weeks, your lead time was 4 months. See how you're losing efficiency. And that's why in Agile we started introducing the techniques like a DevOps and so on, so that we have continuous delivery potentially, okay? Now when I say sustainable, when this stuff start producing and crunching results, a lot of time executives start really getting hungry and really overburn the teams. No, the trick is when you get this, results are great, put it in a cruise control, and this is sustainable effort that everybody really loves working in that stuff. And you can hear from a lot of folks that are working in Agile community, yeah, it's really delivering fantastic results, but it's overwork. No, that's not what we are after. You really can deliver and in a sustainable time. So I'm going to quickly go through the pipeline, and then I'll stop because there are a lot of PMs and BAs in this room. I'll stop on the stations which are particularly important for you. Okay, so we start with ideation for an idea process. I'll just walk you now through this. The next one is design thinking. That's the definitely station we're going to stop today. Product definition workshop, architectural runway, building architectural runway, continuous refinement, product increment planning, develop on cadence. Now we are getting into development part of the pipeline, which is kind of DevOps. Continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Everything is continuous. We build quality in. We build compliance in. We build security in. Everything is built within those 2 weeks. Then we do system demo. Every 2 weeks, the whole slice needs to be tested, demonstrated to the end users, and then to the end users or product owners or product managers. Then release on demand. Potentially the highest level maturity is continuous delivery. Release on demand is really when we need it. And then finally comes benefits realization. So those are kind of the major steps along the way. So now, as I mentioned, because this is a lean pipeline, you don't think this is kind of like a project. It has a start and stop. That we have a big idea and we are putting big project here and then we're disbanding it. No, this is the lean pipeline. I wanted to depict in this single flow of the user story or small batch of the user stories. And they're really going from left to the right. But now when we develop this and we design and optimize this delivery pipeline, you can consider this as a conveyor belt that is always rotating. And when we place idea on conveyor belt and that idea get massaged and developed and tested and dropped as a feature, done feature here, we continue going back and then the new ideas, while first idea is here under development, the next idea is already coming into pipeline and it's continuously crunching. So this is kind of different. This is when we move from the project to value stream delivery. Because product lives, value stream lives as long as the product lives. There is no start and stop. It's continuously crunching that stuff, okay? So now let's go to this one. The first is design thinking, okay? How many of you have heard about design thinking? Okay, a couple of you, and then anybody here really practice design thinking? Okay, Kevin and you. Very good. So if there are questions, you will help me answer them. So now, the reason why I put really design thinking here is not just because you guys are involved here like, as a business analyst. And business analyst as a role might not be now prominent in Agile world, but your skills are needed there, and role is there. So generally, it's either product management, product owner, but you work with them in either role. On large systems like that, and you will see pictures how we're doing this, there are also still business BSAs, business analysts who are helping product owners and product managers doing this, okay? So design thinking is really the science. You will need scientists. It's not just enough that you go to the course or bring a couple of coaches and they do this with you. This is a completely new way. And once you mature in design thinking, you will create a design thinking center of excellence and you will have a community of practice. It's a serious stuff. Now, What is design thinking? It's a really deep topic. I'm not going to cover here, but I'm going to just tell you outcomes of design thinking. And to better understand what design thinking is, two kind of pioneers of design thinking, inventors, they pretty much put it here. You can't just ask customer what they want. Customer does not want what they want. And what Steve Jobs said, it's not his job. Actually, us as a producers, we innovate, and customer will validate whether she likes it or not. Okay. So generally with design thinking, we have to kind of come up with a product that we have to get through the customer eye, think like a customer, and know before the customer knows what she wants. Okay. The outcome of design thinking is the customer journey. Okay. So here you see, after meticulous, it's not really long process because we still have to iterate and come and validate that stuff. This is the customer journey. But that customer journey is different than when we did before feature mapping and story mapping. This is really taking customer view, emotional customer view, and I'll give you a few examples. Here are the steps in customer life cycle. So the common misconception about design thinking is, well, it's a customer journey, and then we say customer is our primary focus. We look through the customer eye, but we don't. Design thinking really flipped that. So this is not interaction, how customer interacts with our products. This is experience, what the customer is doing. So for instance, good example is when you hear customer journey and banks do that, they said, I want a mortgage. No, the customer does not want a mortgage. Customer wants to buy a home. He wants to buy a place to live. It's a really integrated experience. Can you imagine that young millennials just recently married, got a kids, and they're buying their first home? That's the whole experience. Approaching real estate agents, getting pre-approval for the mortgage, talking to lawyers to close the deal. There are a lot of things. This is experience. Customer is interacting with the mortgage stuff just along the way, but you can very well establish the whole integrated system with all those folks to provide unique customer experience. And nobody better put that than Steve Jobs when he said, we are not selling to our customer a product, we are selling experience. And that's exactly what he meant and he did. And this is exactly what this pipeline is doing. But how we are creating right experience? Well, we are using something which is called empathy mapping. So this down here is empathy map, and you see it's completely mapped with every step of the customer experience. What you see on the left side is that yardstick. We have 0, which means customer does have positive or negative experience with the product or his experience. It's like a air we breathe. Nobody, like you're not happy now that you're breathing. Neither you're sad that you're breathing, unless you're drowning. The only stuff that you're thinking is how to catch a gulp of breath, right? So this is 0. Now if you're going +1, +2, +3 is maximum, your happiness level is higher until you're 3, you're really excited, you're jumping with joy. Very similar when you're going down, -1 you're worried, -2 you might be annoyed, -3 you have full anxiety attack. Okay, so now when looking from this perspective and working with design thinking scientists, you really see through customers' eyes what they want to experience and how to resolve that issue. So for instance, this is kind of mixed example. So it's anonymized, the top line is kind of credits, giving the credit, and this is related to something else, the process something else. But look at this. I've seen credit examples all around, and they're used even in the books. And it's a single process, okay, determining your risk factor, right? Okay, eligibility. First you apply, then we have to determine your risk factor. We have to contact Equifax to see whether you're really eligible or not. Then if you're eligible, how much you're eligible, how much is APR for you to put that complex pricing plan. And this is one of the most complex things that I saw. Putting just the price plan to put APR was more complex than when I was working in medical imaging, doing computer-aided diagnostics. It's unbelievable. And then finally, if you're approved and you accept terms and conditions, you'll get the money maybe in a week or 2. So this whole process from looking through customer eyes, but actually looking from the company that is selling loans, this may take a week or 2. Now, can you imagine, put yourself really in the shoes of a customer. You're not taking loan for a house, you're not taking mortgage, you're not taking loan for the car, but your furnace broke down in the middle of the night, and you're really desperate. You have 2 young children, you woke up, it's 15 degrees, now outside in a beautiful Toronto, one of the best places to live on earth, it's -22, -40 with wind chill, your kids are going to die till morning, and you really need emergency cash right now in your bank, but because you're completely stretched with your financing, you have a good credit history, how am I going to get this? Now, if you look through this size and look down that this customer is right down, complete anxiety attack, what if we as a trusted bank can do this with 3 clicks of the mouse, and if the person accepts after 3 clicks terms and conditions, the monies are deposited in his bank account right away. Sure, we can do this. If this stuff is a million times more powerful than the whole commission control center, that's nothing to do. That's why we have Hadoop. That's why we have a big data. That's why we can do proactive risk assessment. That's why we can do those pricing plans for every single customer. We don't have to ask customer to fill application again. This is from excitement getting the loan or getting the house and filling application, his excitement level will drop down. You have to avoid that. You really have to think through the eyes of the customer. And that's why design thinking is really powerful. So that top bar we call backbone of the new system, the customer journey. Then now when we start, and then these blocks are in a big system, we call them capabilities. Now out of those capabilities, we'll start building RIPs. Those are our features. And then later when we start putting meat around those bones, those are the user stories. That's how we kind of try to slice the elephant. Okay, now when we finish that customer journey mapping, we're going to product definition workshop. So there is no term in industry like a product definition workshop. We really, through certain iterations, we found the optimal way to do it. And we just call it product definition workshop. And I carry this with me and just still refine it. So now welcome to one-on-one of enterprise business agility. Enterprise business agility is now latest term, latest kind of fashion here. We start scaling, and Kevin mentioned Scaled Agile Framework and DAD. Now this is the third one. This is scaling beyond technology, okay? So now what I'm gonna explain here is, here's the product. That's the system, that's the cake. But our enterprise is the system as well. And that's why it's represented with these wheels. Now there are 3 wheels that are prominent here. That's why they're biggest. The first one is business. The second one is technology. The third one is operation. And whenever we talk about Agile, any Agile, it's actually how to move fast to those 3 gears, okay? But how about all those satellite small gears that are all around, okay? Finance, HR, sales, marketing, training, real estate. So the concept here for enterprise business agility is that all those gears have to work in unison, in sync, as a well-oiled machine, okay? So what the simple rule of thumb when we're designing this efficient pipeline and the system they're going to deliver is we ask leadership 2 questions, okay? We assemble all those folks from all those leaders from those gears and say, are you going to impact our product in any way? Or will our product impact you in any way? So it might be business as usual for you, but you still, for instance, you're in compliance. There is no changes for us, but you have to make sure that we comply to certain laws and regulations, which means you will be one of the provers. If you touch and you say we are either impacted or we are going to impact you and we have to be reviewer, you're part of this team. You cannot do this through business analysis up front when you do lean product development with a business. You can't do this later. You have to be part of the team, which means when the whole system start really working together and we run into some issue in some environmental changes, competitive threat, and we need to stop and pivot immediately, the whole system needs to pivot. There is no time delay. This is enterprise business really agility. So now that's enough of the theory, how it works. Now, how this works actually, when you see this picture, actually it's double because we have 2 screens here. These folks are representing from those gears. So I'll explain you what's happening in this picture. We started with those gears. We explain everybody how this will function. We call all those representatives from legal, HR, business analysis, marketing, product management. Product management is walking all those stakeholders to our journey, right? Customer journey. And you see that customer journey there on the wall. There is one here and there is one here over there. And then we are discussing, it's a 3-day focus workshop. We flew all those people, you saw that global distribution. We flew all those people from around the globe. Those are business people mostly. They're coming from New York, from Phoenix, from Florida, 3 places in UK, Sydney, Australia, even Hong Kong for Far East market. Everybody is at the same time in the same room. Sounds like an expensive proposition? It might be. However, It's well worth. In 3 days, we really iron everything, and all of them can talk to themselves. And now you can't believe that synergy when some of them can step up, and then when marketing is or product management is going through those stories and touch the story, and they said, oh, you need to comply to this regulation and rule. If they touch the story, that means they have acceptance criteria. And that acceptance criteria will be built into the story. Quality is built into the story. That's how we comply to regulations and like even in the medical application with the FDA rules. Everything is built in a story. Team will build, team will test, and we will demonstrate. Product owner will accept, but we will demonstrate to those stakeholders during demo. So they will see a live software how it functions. Okay. So a couple of more pictures in different locales when we are doing this. And obviously we need sugar really to keep us going. Okay, we need some fuel. Okay, at the end when we finish this, and it's not big upfront requirements. Remember, this is part of the pipeline that is constantly crunching. We put this in our system of record. This is Agile ALM tools, okay? Now it's continuous refinement. That's the next step here. The reason why I put continuous requirements, that's the bread and butter. That is what you are doing pretty much on a daily basis. Product managers, product owners, and business analysts. And when I mention product managers and product owners, let me just make a distinction. Product manager is market-facing, product owner is team-facing. Product owner is the face of the user or all those stakeholders community in front of the team. So we don't bug the team. That's the person that is really streamlining all that stuff down to the team, okay? So I don't want this to sound too technical. Don't be afraid. I'll explain really in simple concept. It took me kind of several iterations, 2 years, but this poster I print on every executive who is working and every stakeholder, including all product managers and BAs and POs, they have this concept. The reason is that I wanted to really show the life cycle of the story, that journey from left to the right, which means the first time we put this yellow sticky with just the story name, it's a level 1. It's a 10,000 feet. And then we will progressively refine, and I show you kind of design thinking when we come with the happy paths. Then we come with the product definition workshop when we put those constraints and boundary condition. We're pretty on a high level, like a level 2, 8,000 feet. It's a pre-planning. We can't plan with that information. It's meaningless because it's still high. All the way when we come to level 5 that Kevin mentioned, it's an iteration planning, it's sprint planning. We know the team can commit at this point. So how we got to that level? The trick here is at every single point, and those points are not just milestones, it's just the stops on our highway, on our journey, we got to have just enough, just-in-time information. Not less, not more. Very important meeting here is on 5,000 PI planning meeting. I'm talking about scale. This particular product was developed with 49 teams, 49 Agile teams spread around. PI planning is huge, the most expensive meeting, and I'll talk about that meeting next. Now, if you have, and you will bring together all those folks that are going to work on that in a 2-day session planning. If you don't have enough information, you may fail. You may fail that meeting, and you bring all those folks, because you cannot say, I'm taking something offline, I'll get back to you. No, all decision makers will be there. So we need to have a certain number of information, not detailed, but just to make meaningful cross-team alignments and be able to plan. But now, the bigger trick is, the bigger problem they face is really not enough information. It's that technology is usually asking for too much. They want to have much more information than they need. And especially in a low maturity level, when technology is used to have detailed requirement specs before they can do any planning. So now this acts as based on a law of gravity. If you need more information, you definitely have to go here, which means you're prolonging your timeline. And what you're losing? Time to market. And we don't have that luxury. We have to be to the market faster. So just enough, just in time. How much is just enough? Well, this is an empirical process. You have to figure out yourself. But that's why you retain experienced consultants and enterprise coaches that went through different industry, to different products, and they have a gut feeling and experience how to do it. So generally, I put some level here, and obviously this diagram comes with a couple of more pages and explain each level how much really you need. Okay. This is anecdotal why I put this down, because even when senior leadership really learned that, And when we have a PI planning, after the PI planning, when we stitch all together, they're all excited how all that stuff came together. And senior executives said, now I want all capability VPs to sign in blood. They're not going to ask more money. And the problem is she's asking for high confidence at this point, where we have low or medium confidence. Now we're coming to this PI planning meeting. Why I put it here? Well, because it's the most important, the most, the costliest, the most intensive meeting, when everybody comes together. But I would like to say, all those user stories that we define, refine, and come here, we need to stitch them together to represent those vertical slices. So this is how it looks like here. Like we had over 150 people planning. And it's not release planning. It's a PI planning. What Kevin explained about Scrum on a team level, that's what we are trying to do on team of teams, on that big trains. So everybody will sprint in the same cadence. Every sprint 2 weeks, and PI is, let's say, 5 to 6 sprints, 10 to 12 weeks. Okay. So now we rented the big convention hall. We have them all there, and we have satellite rooms. This is agenda for that meeting. So we have these folks that are in the middle, those are senior executives. Before them, it was EVP, talking about global lending market. How much money are on the table for global lending market? How much money are for commercial? How much money are for personal lending? What kind of pie we want to get there? So that everybody from business all the way down to the last contributor, tester, or people who are doing DBA hear that message. And they understand. DBA, like people who are working now on a service level or people who are working with the database, they understand why they need to communicate and work together with the folks from mobile and online from the top layer of the cake. That's the only way they're going to be faster to the market. Now when they understand vision and understand why, this is much easier through alignment and hearing the message right from the top. Then these folks are SVPs, they're talking about vision and how we're going to do this and how we're going to structure this product and push it away. Now, those are, then we talk system, solution architects, system architects, and now breakout session when the teams, group of teams will spread and decide how they're going to do certain vertical slices. Now, question for you. Do you know what those vertical columns here are? Every time slot is timed. We have a specific time box, start and stop. We don't want that conversation to spread and go out of control. But now, because we are developing this across the globe, and we have this we are planning across the globe, we have a timeline on each time zone for each city. And that's how we align here. So look at this wall. I had to jump over because I didn't have time. There is time constraint about how we build architecture on runway. It's not big upfront architecture. We are paving the runway only one PI ahead, so that all those teams that you see here have a clear path to just sprint through those 10 to 12 weeks, not more. So they're always kind of paving the path before. So you see now very similar system map that I mentioned before, but you see now here, it's still architectural runway. But do you resemble something? Do you remember that customer journey? Customer journey is at the top, and those are all systems, and they're hanging, they're delivering that capability of that journey. Okay, so now when we move to the next wall, you see customer journey 2, and then there's more here, customer journey 3. Okay, those white boards, those are going to become program boards. That's when the team starts stitching that capability. And you will see now, after a couple of breakout sessions, we have here, you will see here teams, and there are sprints here, okay? Now back a little bit to theory to understand what was in that picture. PI planning has basically what we are trying to achieve, the outcome is 3 things. We want to visualize the work. And you literally, on a huge system, you may have hundreds, if not thousands of stories. Most of these stories are just names. No acceptance criteria, no meat in them at all. Some are more refined because their priority is like that. But they're all coming to the PI gate. How many of them will pass through PI gate? Depends on the capacity of our train. And that capacity is not something that we negotiate with project managers or leaders of that. We know that capacity because exactly the same train traveled the last PI and PI before. So we know capacity, how much we can take. Okay. So how do we visualize the board? You see when the board gets created, we move this to our Agile ALM tool. This tool that I'm showing here is Rally, formerly known Rally, now CA Agile. And then when people are working and communicating and cross-referencing stuff and moving the cards because there is dependency and resolving those dependencies. There are members of the team that are sitting in front of the board on a keyboard, on a computer, and entering that information in a tool. And all around the globe, we see how the integrated PI plan is evolving in a real time, not later, in a real time. Okay. So now the next thing, when we visualize the work for PI, we visualize the flow of the work. The reason why I like this picture is, you see it's a rush hour, but you can guess that this column, that this delivery pipeline is going faster. Why? Because we intentionally introduced the slack inside. So we are not going in traditional model with the resource utilization. No, we are going against the flow of value. We're increasing the flow of value. And we know when we run the system at full capacity, the delivery is slower. And it's been proven. So we always put this one here. How do we do this in real stuff? The flow of work is going that way. So we can control what we plan. You see now, okay, I'm showing after the fact. Once you plan, all the stuff will be 0, 0, 0. And once you're moving, you see the progress. Okay, how many percent? The progress cannot be 50, 75% here. You're either done or not based on your commitment. Everything is not done, you have to move to the next sprint, which means you're snow plowing. There is hard boundary at PI planning. So we need to build capacity buffer inside. But it's very, very important that we visualize the flow. And lastly, the third part, we have to control that flow. And in Agile, we do this proactively. So inevitably, we'll run into those issues here. But when you see how we're controlling that, any team out of those 49 teams that experience blocker, they will block in a tool, and it will pop up here for all management level. And once we design this delivery pipeline, this value stream, we optimize and we create impediment removal system. So most of the, like 80% impediments can be removed with the team itself. And we know Scrum Master primary job is to remove impediments. No, actually, Scrum Master opens the door between teams so that teams can basically communicate and remove impediments themselves. In case there is systemic impediments, something with the environment and so on, it's going up and populate. So those people that you saw at the beginning opening that PI session, they form, those are SVPs, they form senior impediment removal team. They're acting immediately on that. So the impediment removal process is really high. So now this tool is really, I mean, we are using it because it's enterprise level tool. Unfortunately, in complex system like that, it's really hard to structure. So there are now new tools on the horizon, and ADZ, which is Agile Designer, is one of them, and it's gonna kind of really cover the whole enterprise and portfolio levels when we are building complex systems like that. And then that will guarantee, if you really fulfill those three, that guarantee our delivery on time, arrival on time. And you see now everything is green here. And nothing better to boost morale and happiness of the people on the team when they really live up to their commitment and deliver. And nothing better to give confidence to business than to be confident in the teams that are working with and delivering. Okay. And now, dear colleagues, we are coming to the last one. I jury jump because this is, you are also engaged here, but this is kind of DevOps part of the pipeline. We're coming to the last point, benefits realization. This is the moment of truth. This is the moment we say, have we built the right product? In Agile, we say, build the right product, build the right way. Everything we did so far, when we form idea, we come to the release on demand, we use Agile, we use Lean, we use design thinking, DevOps, all the latest and greatest tricks that are out there in industry today. But everything is assumption. Until that hit the customer will tell us whether that customer is really delighted. And if customer is delighted and starts spreading good word, like they did for Steve Jobs and Apple, and become viral, that means you're successful. And if you're successful, ROI will follow. ROI is not the most important KPI, even though any executive you talk about will talk, because they're measured based on those KPIs. The most important stuff that I want to say here, and that's why you're not delivering in big batches, big idea to big product through project, is you want to do small batches. Small batches flowing through the system faster. It's easier to synchronize and have less variability. Less variability gives the confidence to business and product management that we can really deliver. But the major reason why small batches, and that's why I'm emphasizing user story and properly structured user stories, fast learning. We really introduced the latest techniques from Lean startup here. because you really don't know. And then only customer will tell you if you're successful. And then that early learnings will propagate back and change your ideas. And it's not only going to the left, but it's also going to influence how we're doing PI planning. Because all of a sudden, all those stories that are ready for the next batch, next PI plan, we can reshuffle because now we have our learnings here. So remember, and that's my parting word with you, the ability to learn faster than competition may be your only competitive advantage today. So thank you very much for your time.